You started listing you just named one point to stop saying talking bad about the US, but would you please elaborate more on those on President Trump and Secretary Rubio's top priorities and steps that Georgia can take to demonstrate its seriousness about improving its relationship with the United States? What can you say more? One more or two more?
I don't want to comment in detail about our private conversations. I respect diplomatic correspondence and try to keep those. But I don't think it's difficult to understand what my administration's priorities are, because they're very clear about those priorities. Make America safer, stronger, and more prosperous. I was very specific with the foreign minister and would have been very specific with Ivanišvili on 2 or 3 specific things the government could do. The first of those I'm happy to say aloud, which is stop the anti-American rhetoric and the disinformation about the United States. But I don't think it's that difficult to look at the policy of my administration, my president, and figure out what kinds of things you could do to improve the relationship. This idea that it's up to us, the United States, to do something more than we've already done for Georgia, that the ball is in our court, it seems to me to be a strategy that doesn't make a lot of sense.
There was no chance at all to meet Ivanišvili personally during all the term you spent here.
He did very briefly in the October-November time period reach out and say that he would be willing to meet. That was
2023.
24.
24. Okay.
Right before your elections.
Okay.
Around then. And I think that was a time when my leadership in Washington and I decided that it was close to the elections, right before the elections, if I'm remembering the timing correctly. It was very close to your elections. And then things got very difficult here very quickly after the November 28th announcement that GD was stopping the EU accession process. The protests began. The violent crackdown on protesters began, and that was a very difficult time to meet with him. So there was this very short window, and it was toward the end of the Biden administration. But he has not accepted the invitation from the Trump administration to meet with me.